Hello.
Hi, bonjour. Anyone? اسمعونا؟ Bonjour.
Hi.
كيفكم؟
كيفك Elia?
سوا أنت كيف؟
Good. How's this lockdown? شو؟
عادي. ما we tried جربنا نقنع البقرات إنه we have a lockdown ما اقتنعوا so عم نجي كل يوم.
Cows? Okay.
إذا حدا عم تزبط معه شي طريقة قولوا لنا جهاد في شي طريقة نعملها لحتى دغري نقول لهم.
Jihad, I have a question. You posted a picture with a goat kissing you or something. Does that make you a vegan? You have to unmute your microphone. You have to unmute your microphone so I can hear you.
Sorry.
Not vegan?
Hello.
Hi.
تسمعيني؟
عم بسمعك.
لا أكيد ماني فيجن. بالعكس بس هيدي العلاقة بين الجوت والفارمر لأنه هن حيوانات كتير بيتفاعلوا. دونك حيوان سبيشل.
ايه بس خوفي هو انه اذا you're gonna slaughter that goat, it was a very bad picture to send.
لا 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 احنا اول شيء نحن ديري بالانيمال برودكشن we have to produce. بس نحن بالوقت الحالي we produce milk and cheese, not meat.
Okay.
Donc,
good. So you're friends.
End,
you're good friends with the goat, yeah.
Yeah, but at the end في بالاخر في نهايه يعني في she will not be productive.
Hey, but are you the one that slaughters her?
Yeah.
Are you the one that slaughters her?
شو بدنا نعمل؟ مضطرين.
Oh my God! And you took a picture with her? That's horrible. That's really horrible. I don't want to imagine it. خلاص. ما ناقصنا trauma.
أنت vegan?
No.
Okay.
I feel bad for my vegan friends. I feel like they all, you want to get on the vegan train. لأنه it's like the new thing, but I don't. I like meat too much.
Yeah, okay.
Oops. We're waiting for Rodrigue, Balaa. We can start. Oh, hi. How are you?
Fine.
Am I saying it right, Rodrigue Balaa? Am I saying it correctly? Okay. I'm so happy to welcome you to this session. This is part of a series for a program by Berytech called Agritech. And my name is Youmna Naufal. I'm a Beirut-based journalist for now, and I will be moderating these sessions, starting with today's. And, just to give you a little bit of background about what we're going through right now, because the agri-food sector, as they like to call it, is the only rescue for Lebanon, especially when we're thinking about the economic crisis. We used to import a lot of these products, and when you think about it, the fact that Lebanon actually produces this and it's kind of an untapped resource, well, it's about time we tapped into it and really tried to help growing the economy from within. Now, while a lot of challenges are facing the sector, there are a lot of opportunities, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So through these series, just to give you a little bit of background information, there are going to be 3 series, starting with 3 sessions, starting with today, and then next Tuesday, and then the Tuesday after that, all of them at 12:30 Beirut time. We are here to connect with entrepreneurs, innovators, engineers, creative minds within the agri-food sector. The sector today suffers from the lack of technology, low efficiency, and the lack of funds. Milk, meat, chicken, eggs, honey, wool are all products we need, and we consume them on a daily basis. And even if we have some production, we always rely on import when it comes to dairy products, meat as well, processed chicken products, and honey, because our production is limited and, of course, used to be more expensive. Today, we're focusing on milk and dairy. I hope you all like Lebanon. And not only from cow, but also from sheep and goat. So I guess for the vegans, that's actually a good thing, right? Dairy products form an essential component in our diet, and in addition to the local production, our import of dairy products accounts to $350 million a year. So to understand more about these challenges, we have 3 experts in their field, which I'm going to introduce to you, which will be leading the discussion today. Starting with Dr. Rodrigue Balaa, the chairperson of the Faculty of Agriculture at Balamand University. He holds a PhD in agricultural engineering from the Institut National Polytechnique de Lorraine, Nancy. He's the chairperson of the Department of Agricultural Engineering Technology at the Issam Fares Faculty of Technology of the University of Balamand. He's an expert in agricultural value chains and has been involved in and managed numerous studies and development projects funded by international donors. Dr. Balaa is a diehard supporter of the Quintuple Innovation Helix framework, which involves an environment of collaboration between universities, industry, government, and civil society within a knowledge economy. Welcome, Dr. Balaa. Our next speaker is Jihad Daher, the owner and technical manager of Goutblanc. He's an agricultural engineer specialized in animal production, the founder of Goutblanc, the dairy goat farm with European breeds, Taanayel-aec and Alpine. In 2006, White Farm, as if you're going to translate it into English, was founded with 60 goats of European breeds. Today, Goutblanc is the Lebanese leader in the manufacture of dairy products with 840 highly productive goats and 2 fully automated milking parlors. Welcome, Jihad. And last but not least is Elia, the manager at Domaine Taanayel-aec. He's the manager of Domaine de Taanayel, managed by Accelerator, the Lebanese NGO, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. The Domaine is a agricultural project with dairy production and processing, as well as ecotourism and environmental activities. Using the vision of AEC management and the cooperation of the team, he was able to adapt more sustainable action and energy efficient methods, such as solar energy, integrated water management, as well as many other new technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Elia. I know there's a, and Soha, I guess you can help me with this. I know there's a video that we're expected to play. Can we start with that before we get into our questions?
Hello everyone, yes, sure, we will show the video in a bit. Now.
Are you innovating in the agri-food sector and looking for help? Now is your chance to join Berytech's Accelerator program, Agritech.
Our program provides entrepreneurs with the resources, support, knowledge, and funding needed to transform their idea into a sustainable business in less than a year.
During this year, you will be provided with technical guidance to develop your solution in the most cost-effective and efficient way.
In the first phase of the Accelerator, you will discover your customers and build a solution for their problems. You'll get trained by leading experts and receive up to $2,000 to set the foundations for your product.
The second phase of the program is probably the most interesting. We will select the most promising startups and help them transform their concepts into reality. For 4 months, you will receive up to $15,000 to develop your first product, test it, and get your first sale.
Phase 3 is the growth and incubation phase. We will help you become investment ready and help you take your idea to the next level with up to $20,000 in matching grants.
We have real challenges that need real solutions in the agri-food sector in Lebanon. This is our opportunity to make a difference. So we are looking for motivated entrepreneurs ready to create, innovate, and lead the change we need in the sector.
Did you get your attention? Then apply to the Agritech program and join Berytech in leading the agri-food revolution in Lebanon and the region.
Don't you just love how every time Berytech or, now Agritech, I guess, has a program, they have their young millennials introducing it. It makes it so fresh and so current and really very much what is in need in Lebanon. Welcome to my speakers, Jihad, Rodrigue, and Elia. I'm going to ask you to unmute your microphones because I want this to be a discussion as opposed to just a Q&A. Rodrigue, I wanted to start with you.
Yes.
First of all, how are you within this lockdown?
Well, I'm still hanging.
Coping? Yeah.
I'm still hanging.
Yeah.
Actually, when you work in agriculture, it's it's a work that never ends.
Has it made things more difficult for you?
Well, with the current technologies we're using, like online teaching and all of that, it had made things a bit easier. But certainly, we prefer to work on a personal level and to be able to go to the fields and work there. We're going to have to wait for this for a while.
So, but is this, I know you're a university professor and that's kind of been suspended, but how has the economic crisis and the pandemic affected your work within the agricultural sector?
Well, actually, most of people would say that it has affected the agriculture sector in general negatively. Yeah. But it did. But this thing should have happened quite a few years ago because we have a value chain system that is based on imports. So basically, the value chain is based on different stakeholders. You have the consumers, the distributors, the processors, and the producers. So whenever we had any problem at any level, even at the input supplying level, we would have just solved this problem by importing what we needed. So we actually had for quite a few years now a system that is not really existing. So what happened during this crisis is that this whole system has crumbled down, and it should have happened quite a while ago. So what's really interesting now, although it is extremely difficult what we're going through, we are currently building a new value chain, a new agricultural sector that is based on production. It's not going to be easy, you know. It's going to be really difficult, but this time it's going to be built. It's going to be built the right way. So it's rather positive. What's
well,
going on.
since you mentioned it, and you mentioned the dairy value chain, can you please give me and our audience an idea about the situation and what exactly it entails?
Well, you know, most of our problems and with the solutions that used to be proposed for the agricultural sector, there used to be a specific concentration on one of the components. So it's either you have projects that support producers alone or processors alone, etc., etc. Right. But the reality of things is that you need to consider the whole value chain, you know, from the consumer to the producer, from farm to fork, you know, and you don't just take any decisions regarding any of the stakeholders without taking care of the others. What has been going on is that we only thought about the consumer. We needed to provide the consumer with adequate food products with adequate price, and that was it. We didn't ask ourselves any questions. Where do we get it from? What is the situation of the producer, of the processors? This is why we have based on our economy, especially in agriculture, on import. That's what's called the whole problem.
And it's, you know, and it's interesting that he says that, right? I want to get in Jihad here and Elia, because he talks about, you know, the consumer and the consumer products that are needed. And Jihad, I know that, you know, Goutblanc focuses only on the farming and production of goat milk and derivatives, while Taanayel-aec is more of an ecosystem where they grow crops and fruits. Is it better to focus on the value chain or to integrate the whole value chain in one business model? Jihad, do you want to take this question?
In fact, we do not focus only on one part of this value chain. What we are doing now in this crisis, we are trying to innovate. So, as we did in Goutblanc, we are trying to introduce some new products normally that were imported. So let us take the example of aged cheese. Already Taanayel did this in Ghorra, but we have introduced some different type of goat cheese. Let's say fromage de chèvre affiné as Saint-Maur de Touraine, or Parmesan style or Romano. So we are creating inside Goutblanc brand, we are creating a lot of products that can fill the gaps, because importing original products will not be possible, I believe.
That's not sustainable also, I think, at this stage. What you're doing, you know, is making us hungry. Well, I don't know about you guys, but, you know, somebody who mentions fromage de chèvre. Is there a reason that you know, out of curiosity, is there a reason that you picked specifically goat milk and to do that, Jihad?
Yeah.
Is it because you actually found that consumers in Lebanon were demanding more of this? This brings me back to our veganism.
No.
Vegetarian, sorry.
Yeah. Goat milk is more digestible than cow milk, and it has proven that many people are allergic to the protein of the cows.
Yes.
So goat milk is more digestible, so it's healthier. And besides this, it is more rich in many vitamins, and the quality of the fat also is smaller. So digestibility is the first point, key point of this milk.
Yeah.
And if it's well, let's say, processed and the farm is well managed, we have also special flavor.
Yeah. What flavors do you have?
Not additives. It's goat flavor, but
okay. I'm like, you know, this is you have your own flavors that I want to know about. That's, you know, it's interesting. Elia, I want to get you in on this, because I think as in everything that's been going on, specifically within the agricultural sector, and when we talk about value chain, it cannot, as Dr. Rodrigue was telling us, it cannot but be affected by the economic crisis and COVID. So how did you see it affected in your own personal experience?
Once again, it had a positive and negative effect on our operation. Right. I think the effects were different during the different phases. Mm-hmm. So we witnessed a decrease in the imports of cheese and dairy products, which gave us a positive push to sell more, and we were prepared for this. On the other hand,
you experienced a decrease or an increase in demand?
An increase.
An increase, right.
It's a decrease in import of products.
In imports, right.
Okay, so and we were prepared for this, and we managed to do it. On the other hand, our production cost increased a lot, and the supply chain was broken in certain times. Example, not being able to buy culture or wax for the cheese, or even the packaging. So while we were used on doing things in a certain way, 2020 taught us new ways, and a lot has changed.
But this is the part where you tell me, what did it teach you, and what has changed?
Do you have time to
I have. Well, I mean, you want to open this discussion, and then we'll see if we'll get in questions. And of course, our two other speakers can come in. But of course, I think it'd be interesting to know specifically, because 2020 was such a transformative year, and in Lebanon specifically, the challenges remain at an all-time high. So what are, not everything, but just what are the key changes that 2020 has taught you when it comes to the sector?
While trying to widen our production and our catalog in the years before, in 2020, we had a lot of demand on our products. And it made it impossible for us to produce all the products and to satisfy all the customers. Yes. Because there was a change. So the markets being closed and everything, our delivery services gave us a lot of new clients to deliver. And with all these new clients, we weren't able to satisfy all their needs. So we had to learn how to choose which product to produce, how we're going to produce it, what are the ways to reduce our consumption of milk, because even milk was limited for a period. We have this quantity and we cannot produce more. So all these factors made us really think very, 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 very well on what to do with our resources.
And, it's interesting that you say that, because, even as we speak, we're entering into a very difficult year when it comes to, the sector and the economy. I think the challenges and the need to adapt is probably going to go through this year onwards. Jihad, it was interesting because he said that you couldn't satisfy every single customer, right? And so, a question that I always think is, is it better to have a bigger portfolio or to focus on a small range of products when you're dealing with this?
Sorry, it's better?
Is it better to have a bigger portfolio or to focus on a small range of products when you're dealing with this?
No, it's better to have bigger portfolio, especially that some products have a long shelf life, other products short shelf life. This is what we faced during last lockdown, let's say, because we had milk and we did not know what to do with it.
Which one, November or March? Lockdown, the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
The first one, dealing with it, right?
During this lockdown, we have launched the idea of hard cheese, because we have milk, we are producing the milk in our own farm. So we are obliged to milk the animal on daily basis and to process the milk. So what to do? We cannot do some soft cheese or labne because they have short life. In fact, we do not add any preservatives. So if we process labne and we are not able to deliver it to the market or to sell it, we'll have a lot of loss. So the idea came to produce some hard cheese that normally took 5 to, let's say, 12 months of ripening, of aging. And later on, we can keep them for 1 or 2 years before selling them. So we have a long shelf life. It's a kind of security for our products.
Right,
so,
and definitely you know, when it comes to lockdowns, you're thinking this is probably optimal, right?
Yes, of course, because we are producing something that it can last, and we can sell it on different period. Let's say on Christmas or New Year period.
Did you sell it on Christmas and New Year's period? All right, I want to keep. I want to keep going. I just want to remind our audience, please, if you have any questions, because we will be taking questions at the end, please type them in the chat box. Do not hesitate. Do not be shy. We want to hear from you. And just a quick cut, just to tell you about this program, because I do want our speakers to weigh in on this. And we're going to keep talking about goat and sheep milk prices in 1 second. Jihad, Elia, and Rodrigue. You know, the program that we're talking about today, as I said, is called the Agritech Accelerator. This is a 3-phase program in which Berytech supports startups with innovations across the sector, offering them the resources, the knowledge, and the funding to scale up their ideas and grow them into an international business with global impact, right? Because even though these are hard economic times, this is, as I said, an untapped sector and with potential for a lot of growth. So anyway, at the end of these 3 phases, startups exit with a validated investment-ready business. It's about 1 to 2 months business validation phase with a grand total of $2,000 per team. The application for this program will be open until the end of January. And again, our speakers are here to tell us, well, their own experiences, and we're going to be getting their advice on how to keep going forward and what they're doing in order to adapt to the new challenges that the current ecosystem is presenting us with, specifically in Lebanon. Jihad, back to you before I get Elia on this, and Dr. Rodrigue. You know, the prices usually fluctuate with seasonality. Seasonality is another thing to account. You were just mentioning Christmas and New Year, right? But goat and sheep as well, they're not always available throughout the year, and some techniques are used to control the seasonality. Is there a solution for the fluctuation of milk that could eventually affect prices?
Yes, of course. It depends on breeds and on, let's say, scientific research. So let's speak first about breeds. Mm-hmm. We have focused on European breeds, Saanen and Alpine, because they have longer lactation and, of course, more production. Local breed, the Baladi goat, she's able to produce for 5 to 6 months as maximum, with an average production of 120 to 150 kilograms per lactation. So we have per year between 6 to 7 months of non-production. With European breed, Saanen and Alpine, we have 300 days of production per goat. So it's almost 10 months. And if we introduce some synchronization and if we do 2 kidding period, let's say, we'll be able to cover during whole year production. It will not be stable during whole year. We'll not have the same quantity of milk on daily basis in the 365 days, but we will not be out of milk. We will have, let's say, 4 months in the year with 60% of our production, and we'll have 8 months at 100% of our potential of production. But in this case, we'll be able to cover, let's say, fresh product during all year round.
Right, which is, I guess, which is the good news. Dr. Rodrigue, do you want to weigh in on that? With, you know, I know you're an agricultural engineer. I mean, how do you deal with seasonality and the techniques to control seasonality when we're thinking about production?
Well, sure, that's the difference between what Jihad and Elia are doing. Mm-hmm. Jihad is working in the small ruminant sector, while Elia is working in the ruminant sector, in the bovine sector. So for the bovines, there is no such thing as a seasonality. It's always possible to induce the estril cycle of the animals. It's a bit more difficult for the small ruminants. So with synchronization, which can be used using hormones or the male effect, I'm not going to go into details because I'm going to bore you, but compiling this with the artificial insemination that's been used, we can get really interesting results. But not only that, it might be interesting also to work on the local breeds. I'm talking about the Baladi breed, but also on the Shami or the Damascene breed. In Cyprus, there are programs for Shami production, Damascene production. So they have increased the production, the milk production, the seasonal milk production of the goats. And since we are in really difficult times, what's really needed now is innovation. So it's really interesting to work beyond, to look beyond what is currently being done or what has been done in the past. We need to go further into innovation, try to work, of course, on the imported breed, but try also to get some work done on the local breeds and see where they can get us to. They're more resistant to diseases. Their feed conversion ratio might be interesting as well. So all of this might be really interesting. But there's a basic problem that I'm sure both Elia and Jihad can relate to. And this is a basic problem and which immensely affects the cost of milk production, which is the feed. We import most of our feed, and this is a huge problem because, as you know, we have to import it and pay in fresh dollars, something that's really difficult these days. So what could be really interesting now is to try to work on either on producing our own feed or try to optimize feed production in Lebanon. This is a very interesting thing to be working on.
Now, I want to take an audience question, and it's open to all three speakers, whoever wants to take this one. This is from Nassif Shalhoub, and he's asking, what is the current milk volume, cow and goat included, required for the Lebanese market, and how much is the annual supply? Whoever wants to take this one, please. But not all at the same time, right?
But what I can tell you is that we barely cover 1/3 of our local needs. Oof. So there is room for 2/3, which is really immense.
I think our daily production is around 200 tons of milk per day. If I'm not wrong, and the Lebanese need is around 450 tons of milk per day. So what Dr. Rodrigue is saying is totally correct.
Right.
But I want to have a small comment about the pricing of the milk.
Yes, please go ahead.
The milk is not priced over based on the cost of the production. Mm-hmm. It is priced on based on the market demand. So
right.
I don't think we can do anything for changing the price of the milk. But what producers should do, in the farm, they should try to lower their cost as much as possible. And lowering the cost is divided into several parts. The feed is definitely the biggest one. Mm-hmm. Lowering, I think we should focus a lot on not wasting the feed and trying to benefit 100% of it, which is why we should try to. What we did is we installed some technical support, some softwares, okay, in order to follow the health of the cows, okay, as well as their reproduction rate, because with a good health and a good reproduction rate, the quantity of milk produced will be better, and by that the cost of milk will be less. We can say that.
Yeah, Elia, since you mentioned it, I have a question for you because you mentioned the cows. You mentioned the cows even, as we were starting this. Apparently, they're not happy with the pandemic, you said, right? There's they are happy? Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, they don't want to take a day off.
They don't. We are facing a shortage in cow milk production in Lebanon due to the lack of cow feed. Now, you've worked in dairy for so long, and you have the farm in Deir Taanayel and a small processing facility. But what do you think are the current pressing challenges? I'm getting a lot of questions from the audience when it comes to the current challenges that other maybe big factories of dairy products are currently facing.
Okay, as you said, we have a small processing unit, so our problems differ from bigger ones. But I think other big factories are facing a lot of challenges, like the supply of milk. I know that in 2020, they weren't using as much powdered milk as usual. So there was a lot of demand on the fresh, local produced milk. So I am not sure if everybody was able to get his share.
Right.
The cost and the availability of feed for the cows, if they have their own farms, as well as the increasing price of the cows, because a cow costs around 2,000 to 2,300 euros or US dollars, which is a very big number compared to the price of the liter of milk, which is I don't know, less than $0.50.
Okay? Can I interject with an audience question for a second?
If you like, yes.
Yeah, if I can, may I? Tamara Bouchahine is asking, we've been seeing shortages of local dairy products in supermarkets. Obviously, this could be because of an increased demand due to hoarding behavior by consumers, or she's asking, could the challenge be brought forth by the fact that the pandemic and the economic situation are making it more difficult? I think everybody's main concern is how do you power through what we're going through, considering it's not over yet, right? We're still seeing probably the effects of this till the end of 2021. So how do we power through, especially for, your advice for young, aspiring entrepreneurs getting into this industry? Anybody?
It's not easy.
Yes, Dr. Rodrigue, I love it when you talk. I feel like we're in Balamand, even though it's virtual, and we're going to be listening.
We're
right?
actually in Balamand. This is why I'm having
is it there?
Background.
Yes, Professor. And Jihad and Elia, please weigh in. Please go ahead, Dr. Rodrigue.
Okay. Would you like me to use also my pen?
Yes.
Yeah. So
whatever makes it feel like we're all together in the same room. I miss that. I know it's all about Zoom these days, and I know the audience is it's nice that everybody can connect from the comfort of their own home, but this does not replace live, right? Am I right, Dr. Rodrigue?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Okay,
And I'd like our students to hear that, because they're waiting for the moment to leave university, and there you are missing university already.
Yeah.
What's really important is to think about the situation we're going through, COVID-19, the economic crisis. We need to look at it the right way. So we need to cut all the interventions from the media, from all the negative vibes, and try to think, especially for the youth. You're young, the future is yours, and you're full of energy. And what's really important is that you can take chances. So all you need to do is to try to think outside the box. Okay, just look for the pain. Just look for the pain and try to think logically. And there are hundreds of possibilities for innovation. And this is where you guys can intervene. You don't need large amounts of money. All you need is an idea, is an innovation. And with programs like Berytech, like Agritech, or any other programs, you can have the support you need. So this is really not the time to leave the country. This is really the time to stay here and to invest with the best thing you have. It's your mind, So all we need is innovation. Just go for it.
I like that. Thank you. On my behalf and the youth's behalf, thank you for saying that it's not time to leave, at least when it comes to this sector. And I like that because obviously because of the situation here, and I'm not just talking economy and pandemic, I'm talking on a global scale. Lebanon rates pretty high when it comes to difficulty and lifestyle today because of the politics that accompany it, and obviously the different problems that we've had on so many levels. Thank you for that piece of advice. Look for the pain, as if it hasn't been painful enough, Dr. Rodrigue. Jihad and Elia, do you want to weigh in on advice you can give to people aspiring and entrepreneurs aspiring to enter the sector before I take more audience questions? We're getting a lot of good audience questions for you guys, so go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Rodrigue. We should have always innovation, especially during crisis, because crisis let us think in a different way. We will be able to focus in small details in order to create something or to innovate. And these crises is a positive, let's say it's a positive point in order to sustain, in order to be able to continue in all sectors, not only in agriculture. Because we were adapted to a system that it is not so sustainable. So you need feed, you buy it. You need everything, you buy it. But unfortunately, it's not like that. So the system was fake, let's say. Now it's the reality is here now. So
yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned feed. We have a question from Abbas Saad saying, is it really feasible to produce feed locally? Do we have a comparative advantage that was not exploited because of the subsidization of the lira, which made importing feed cheap?
Of course, we can produce feed locally, and by ourselves also, White Farm, Goutblanc, we are searching for land in order to be independent from this USD fluctuation. So we are ready to invest in order to produce almost 90 to 92% of the feed needed for goats.
You know, I really want to try Goutblanc now that I've had the Lebanese, by the way, and now it's like, I feel like, are you going to be giving all the attendees a go-to bag? This is what would happen if we were all live.
This is the drawback
I know, these are the advantages to meeting live, is that we would all walk away with our little Goutblanc pack.
And Gouda cheese from Taanayel.
I know, he keeps, and the Elia, we haven't forgotten about you, right?
You know, I'm listening.
Elia, my question is, you know, we've heard Rodrigue and Jihad talk about how it's important during this time to be creative and to really push for innovation and not to leave and to constantly try to find solutions, specifically in times of crises where opportunities can arise. What can you add to that?
Okay, I want to talk about two things. First of all, producing our own feed. This is something that we do and we have been doing for the past, 20 or more years. And really, there's no one best way. Sometimes it's good to produce our own feed. Sometimes it's better if we buy it. This is why we divided our business here into several cost center and profit center. And usually here in the Domaine, we sell the feed from the land to the farm based on the market rate and the market prices. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good. And finally, we have an area to be cultivated in Lebanon. We cannot cover all our needs in everything. We should decide what's more important, feed for the cows or feed for the humans, or I don't know what. So giving one best way to do it is not very accurate.
There's never one best way, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, I totally agree with Elia. So what's needed here is maybe not replace all the feed needs, all the imported feed needs, but at least if we can replace part of it, you know, if we can produce part of it locally, we would have some support, you know, we would have a more robust system. It doesn't mean we have to stop import.
I want to thank you. I want to go ahead, and I want to get to all of your questions because I'm very happy to be seeing a lot of your questions, the attendees, and they're very curious. And I think those questions are even more important than mine. So I want to keep going because I think your expertise can be very valuable. One of the questions is from Bushra Halwani. She says, what are the best feeds to be planted between vetch, alfalfa, oats, barley, and corn?
Depending on water availability and depending on which type of crops. If we speak about vetch, oat, barley, this is a winter crop. So, but if we speak about alfalfa, they need a water supply because you need to irrigate. Corn, of course, depending on the system. Some of them are protein source, others are energy source. So normally we need these two types of feeds in order to have to guarantee the requirement of the animals. But we can't tell, okay, we grow alfalfa or vetch and finish. We will not be growing corn or barley. So feed is a mixture of different types. So we have to produce these two types of energy and protein, and depending on water availability.
What about, does anybody want to add something? Yes, please, go ahead, please.
Of course, and based on the production cost and the availability of lands. Because we know for each crop we have a certain yield, so sometimes we need a lot of land only to produce a small amount of feed, which is not very doable right now. So choosing what to plant is really should be done in a very meticulous way.
Sorry,
yes,
Elia.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Elia?
No, go ahead.
Bon. To be practical here, you know, what can be at least done is to plant winter crops. You know, when you go sightseeing through all of Mount Lebanon, the mountain chain, okay, from the north to the south, you can see that there are old terrassements, the terraces, jloud, okay. All of this land used to be planted, and now it's left to be sold or to be built on. So the least that we can do is to plant these areas, and this way we will start increasing our independence, you know, and decrease our dependence on import. And we don't need the irrigation for this. These are winter crops. وعلى Mount Lebanon, so you have all the precipitation هلا. Except this year, الهيئة تأجلت الشتوية للسنة الجاية.
No, don't be too soon. مش جاي عاصفة بكرة قالوا. You don't.
Let's hope for it. Okay, but this is the least we can do. هذا أقل شيء.
Adding to our misery and pain, Dr. Rodrigue. Really,
no.
really. But you know,
we'll have earlier crops this year. We'll be able to eat earlier. For our security.
You know, the next question is really about mentorship and advice. And I just want to ask, you know, hopefully when this pandemic, it's not going to be over soon, but I would love personally if we could organize something with 5 or 6 also socially distant to actually go and see how this is. Would any of you be okay with actually showing it and we film it and we see how it's done? I think it would be interesting.
Of course.
Maybe in Feb or March, depending on whether or not you get your weather restrictions, Dr. Rodrigue. We won't all be with our umbrellas. And this goes into the question of Saad Salam, who's asking, you know, is it possible, and because this is still a very limited thing, can farming institutions do some educative lessons in their places, showing the entrepreneurs and small businesses the real needed measurements, rules, and knowledge in the farming field, specifically livestock and dairy, so they can have a real approach and local information about them and how to properly contribute in this sector? What is being done to inform, and is there something that's going to hopefully, because people don't know enough, and I think that's a big problem.
This is where we come as universities, and this is where the quadruple helix of innovation comes, you know, which is a collaboration between the private sector, the public sector, academia. So for the moment, there are collaborations with incubators such as Berytech, with the private sector as well. I know that every year some of my students go to Arc-en-Ciel for their internship, and I thank you, Elia, for that again. And I know that a lot of our students go to Jihad's farm and they visit. Jihad has a really innovative.
I'm gonna go. I'm coming.
And we do have our own site at Akkar, so you're more than welcome to come. So this is really what's going on here. It's really important, but it's only a start. So universities are supposed to make a closer collaboration with the private sector, with the with the public sector as well, and provide hands-on training. You know, because what we teach in the classrooms, it's really great, you know, theoretically speaking. But what's really more important and extremely more important is how to transform this knowledge, this know-how, into a viable business plan, business model. So this is the missing link. You know, technically we can collaborate with the different institutions and provide technical know-how, hands-on training. But at the end, we need to help the students, I call them our future colleagues, that they're not students, to provide them with
future leaders, the future leaders in the field, hopefully as well, and the future trailblazers.
بس يعني at least they will be our colleagues. يعني ما عندنا this relationship of professors and students. They need to know that this is their future and they need to change their way of thinking. They shouldn't think about going to some institution and get paid on a monthly basis. They need to try to set up their own startups, their own you know, SMEs, and get the support to transform their ideas into realities.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, working together with the public and private sector. The problem is, and this is such a, you know, Lebanon is so plagued on a political level that sometimes those kinds of institutions, you know, really you have to see civil society groups and, you know, people such as yourself step in to really try to push forward this agenda and this program. Going into, you know, I will take more questions from our audience. Keep them coming. I will try to get to all your questions, I promise. Moving forward, do you, especially in 2021, let's talk about 2021, do you see the challenges being different or more of the same? And how do we tackle them this year? Having learned what you learned in 2020.
I think we have learned from 2020 a lot. But this year, the first year, 2020, was only the trial. Because now we will have more.
Gonna get worse.
Right now.
Dr. Rodrigue كتير متفائل على فكرة يعني. We're so lucky.
No, حتكون منيحة to get worse. هلا بخبرك إيليا.
He likes all about the pain, Elia.
No. As we were saying, for example, in the end of 2019, all the farms or all the factories, they used to have some cash flow that helped them to succeed during the last year. They used to have some feed. كانت أهون، كانت إنه صعبة بس they used to have some reserve. Now they have also to deal with the results of 2020 and with the new problems. It's gonna be hard a little bit. And we know that the valuation of the Lebanese lira played positively in a way concerning the salaries. But
Did it? That's good news.
No, it's not a good news concerning the salaries last year. But this year, the employees will not be able to continue. So I think we will have more costs and we will be witnessing, sorry to say it, but the immigration of a lot of skilled workers and Nes Shatra that know how to work. Because
we're already seeing that happening. That's the problem. Yeah.
So I think from our teams, we will be losing whoever, all of them are good, but we will be losing the one that finds opportunities better outside.
Names, we need names.
The good thing is that COVID is everywhere. So it's a little bit harder for them to find something outside, but you know, it's coming.
Jihad, do you wanna add to that? We haven't heard from you in a little bit.
In fact, as I told, it is. I would say it is a heating period. It was a heating period. We will have more difficult periods, so we have to deal with some more difficult period during 2021. This is, I believe, like that.
Because also the government money, the government support is about to dry out.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Currently you have support for the feed and support for the imported cows. This will soon be over. So we're going to have to try to find some solutions.
This is why.
All right. We'll talk about solutions. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, this is why we should try to find new sources of money and try to benefit from everything in our farms. So mainly we sell milk in our farms, but the production of biogas is not very good till now. So we should try to do it. The production of compost, we should do it. The production of meat, the leather, the gelatin. Really, we should try to see whatever comes from our farm and try to benefit from it. In that way, we will be making something better and benefiting from this experience that we are dealing.
And Elia, in Taanayel, in Domaine Taanayel, you have an excellent business model where you diversify your input, your income, from the ecotourism to the agritourism to the, this is a really interesting business model.
Really, this helped us a lot. It's sure that it helped us a lot. But once again,
well, can you describe the business model you adopt at Deir Taanayel? That was a question I had, Elia, but since Dr. Rodrigue mentioned it right now, tell me a little bit about this business model.
Okay. As you know, Domaine Taanayel, as we said before, we have 230 hectares agricultural land with a dairy farm, dairy processing, ecotourism activity, environmental activities, and everything. It's run by a concierge who works in all these fields in addition to others. The vision of Arc-en-Ciel and the Jesuits' father in 2009 gave birth to our model that is really diversified and the activities are nourished by each other without disturbing each other. So every activity is considered as a cost center or a profit center, and the relation between them is defined by system processes. By the way, we got our ISO certification 2 years ago for six of our units. And our objectives are clear: environmental, economic, and social, thus sustainable. And when whatever we do, we try to have these objectives. And once these objectives are filled, it means that they are sustainable. And we are different a little bit than other firms, because whatever we do is we try to find a solution for a problem for others. It's not our main activity to do milk or to do grapes or to do wood. Okay, our objective is to try to find solution and to be duplicated by people working in the same field. So we're a big laboratory. If you like.
Did you want to add anything, Jihad? You're good. Caroline Taif is asking, in countries like Denmark, agricultural stakeholders have lobbied to push forward organic agriculture, for instance. So why not lobby to push forward investment in agriculture, if not to express disagreements as per the passing of laws that reduce surfaces areas available for it? Anybody?
أكيد. Actually, what's really needs to be done, we really believe in natural selection. Nature will have its way eventually. And when we finished when we entered grad school, I believe all three of us, we knew, and at least when we finished our university studies, we knew that agriculture is basic for any economic system. And even though if there is no lobbying towards more investments in agriculture and all of that, you can see when you look around you that everyone that has any sum of money, they're trying to invest in their agricultural activities, even if they have smaller lands which they never knew about before. So the investment in the agriculture sector, it's here. During the last few years, we had priority investments in building, in building apartments and selling them. But now the priority is for agriculture, and this is why when I was talking about pains, about the problems, they're really essential, because this beast we had of an economic system is crumbling down, and it's not going to go down without any pain. But what's really interesting is that it will open for new opportunities, whether we like it or not. Agriculture is one of the main attractions for investments from now to the coming 10 years, at least for the coming 10 years. So that's the really interesting part.
Jihad, Elia. Jihad, منا عم نسمع صوتك. I don't know why you're letting the professor and Elia take over here. I'm gonna start to get in a little more.
Okay. In fact, I believe in food security a lot, and now if you look to Gulf countries, even with their difficult conditions, many countries are dealing with this food security. They are investing in agriculture, even in hard conditions with 40-45 degrees of temperature. So unfortunately in Lebanon, agriculture investor were a little bit tourist project or hotels or any others activities. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, because I have a low unstable connection because of it. Okay, so but I believe for the moment they will move to this sector because as we see, food security is an obligation now for Lebanon. So I believe there will be a lot of investors moving to this field again.
Do you, you know, since you mentioned this and you mentioned the Gulf countries that tend to be a lot more, unfortunately for us, a lot more organized and a lot more in line with laws and less corrupt when it comes to this, especially when it comes to food security and corruption being a very big part of Lebanon here. Do you think there are things to fear here? I mean, I know you can't talk personally, obviously, because you're a business owner, but when people panic and tell you, well, you know, how can we trust that things are well running and that there is no corruption even within this sector? What do you tell them?
Sorry, can you repeat? Because also I had a low connection.
It's fine. I was saying that, you know, when you talked about Gulf countries, and Gulf countries tend to be a lot more organized and a lot more law abiding when it comes to the sector, whereas Lebanon, you know, with the corruption and with the country facing the different challenges, are there fears that you can appease when it comes to customers, consumers?
Yeah, okay. Normally, until today, the private sector is a leader in this sector, in agriculture, in innovation, in the production, and everything. So we did not receive any, let's say, support from the government, unfortunately. I believe the government should change the priority in order to help this sector, and because he will guarantee, let's say, some food security, some business, some opportunities in the market, in the field.
Yeah. Dr. Rodrigue, you know, working with universities and pushing forward research, is that something that you're looking towards when it comes to moving forward?
Definitely, universities have already started to change their mindset and their way of thinking. We used to invest a lot in theoretical research, you know, but there's no time for this anymore. Since 2019, we have started to invest more in applied research, to think about actual relevant problems and try to solve them. You know, and we're trying, as well as other universities, to direct our students and the faculty members to try to find solutions for actual problems and transforming these solutions into viable business models. This is called technology transfer. This is where we play an important role as universities. However, we cannot do this alone. We need to collaborate more and more with the private sector and as well with the public sector. I know there's a lot of talk about corruption and all of that, but this doesn't mean that there aren't any directorates or or persons within the public sectors that we cannot collaborate with. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention any names, but for example, I have an excellent.
Give us names. Give us names. Give us. This is only this is only recorded, and we will only use it to blackmail. No, go ahead.
No, it's going to be positive. I promise.
Yes, go ahead.
I have an excellent experience with LARI, for example, the Lebanese Agriculture Research Institute. We've been collaborating with them for quite a few years, and the collaboration with them is extremely positive in Akkar, in Bekaa, on the small ruminants as well. We're currently working on heat synchronization, probably really soon on artificial insemination. So the more we can get some networking, the better it is.
I have one more question before I tune in back to your questions, our dearest attendees, and I'm gonna try to get to every single one of your questions. But since, Doctor, you just mentioned, moving forward and maybe artificial insemination and just different kinds of tech opportunities there. Are there tech opportunities that can help the dairy industry to grow and become self-reliant and sufficient for Lebanese consumption? This is an open question to all three speakers.
On Jihad, vas-y.
Spanish doctor.
Because Jihad has really invested last year in a totally automated farm. He can tell us more about it.
You all know one another, right? Go ahead.
I believe investment, it was a good option to do investment even in the crisis, because when we do automation, especially with farming, we can control more the animals. Okay, let's say the example about feeding. When we have an automated feeding system that we can guarantee level of protein, quantities, all the needs or requirement of the animals based on each animals or per group that have the same level of production. In this case, we have an optimum production or an optimal production from this group with the least cost price. However, if we are giving this work to a labor, we have a lot of fluctuation depending on his work, if he's tired or not, if he's absent or not. So sometimes investment, especially in our case, investment was a good choice because he guaranteed to us a stability in the production. Automation, it was a good choice in our firm, in our company. The bad thing is that we have invest based on a loan, a bank loan, and it was in USD. So now we are facing a payment problem because loan is in USD and we are selling on Lebanese pound, Lebanese lira. Even if we have increased our prices by 10 or 15%, we are not able to cover or to pay the loan. Or we'll be obliged to, let's say, buy checks or something from the market, which is not feasible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes, I totally agree with Jihad. Investing in technology and in machinery is a necessity. The one who were able to do it last year in 2019 and pay in 2019, خلاص بيكون مشي حاله. But now it's going to be very difficult to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Also in our firm, we invested in 2019 in renewing our parlor, and we installed the software. Very nice software. For example, right now I can see that there's one cow that needs attention while I'm sitting here in my office, and it shows that number 10979, it needs to be inseminated right now. Okay, so this gave us already 20% increase in lactation and reducing the cost. I think such investments such these are very crucial to be able to continue in the future. Okay, especially if the owner is not the person who is working 24/7 in his farm. If the owner is doing it, it will be easier. But if you have people working on that, I think it's a necessity and not a commodity.
All right. I want to keep going on with the questions. We have a question from Simon Wehbe saying an Australian project is using a sustainable method to feed their sheep. So could we in Lebanon adopt their method of planting native herbs and shrubs so small and large ruminants could graze on?
Are we speaking about hydroponic system? Which system? Hydroponic system?
It's a question.
I think they can use also the goats to for the désherbage. So they rent their troupeau, they send it to a field that is close to the farm. They can do all the weeding and get some money.
Normal planting. They're talking about normal planting, Simon says.
يعني بركي winter crops إذا ماني غلطان.
In fact ممكن يكون الأراضي بيأجرون الأراضي تينظفوا لهم إياها لأنه كتير هلا على الموضة بأوروبا حتى يعني
هون خشن عمل
بيدفعوا للقطيع بيدفعوا لصاحب القطيع تيحط الحيوانات بقلب الفيلد تينظفها من الأعشاب.
بتوفر كل شيء في أدوية زراعية وكل شيء في دواء عشب وكل شيء في pollution.
Yes, it's part of the circular economy concept.
It could be done, especially with local breed. So we are coming back to the project. We have to invest and to enhance and to work with local breed that is able to adapt to the Lebanese conditions. Even if I have Saanen breed. So I'm speaking what should be done because Saanen breed are very critical to their requirements. So if any of the ingredient is missing or we have a little bit less proteins, animals cannot resist. Local breed, it can be more profitable in this case, in our case, if we are dealing with such project.
And if I may, I have two comments concerning innovation in Elia and Jihad's cases. The first comment is that it's really totally feasible within the current know-how in universities as faculty members and as students to invest in such innovation, such as I don't know, smart agriculture. Relevant techniques, you know, that's the first thing. So it's really important. There is an opportunity here to create our own technology, okay, and then being able to export this technology. Yani we don't even agriculture ecosystem. It's not only about food; it's about technology. We can, and it's really totally feasible to develop our own technologies and eventually export them with the lesser cost. You know, this is the first comment. The second comment is that, of course, we do need investments, and this is exactly how we can get foreign investments in this sector. يعني investors حتى Lebanese investors of Lebanese origins, they used to invest in you know, buildings and all of that. So now they can invest in agriculture and take it a step further. So it's a longer term investment and it's more certain. C'est plus sûr because it needs it can withstand much more pressure.
I want to take one last question before we close here. Taanayel-aec says, Dr. Rodrigue has spoken about separate individual initiatives. A lot came as a response to the actual crisis, but I am talking on a longer term, especially with the appearance of new agriculture entrepreneurs who a lot of time come from the business world. Why not work on the establishment of solid networks that would lobby and push forward agriculture and agricultural investments?
Definitely, but if you want them to invest, we need to provide them with ideas to invest in. This is where the youth, in collaboration مع ما بعرف private sector مع الأكاديميا, this is where they come. We need to provide viable ideas تنجذب الناس so they can invest our funds حتى so they can invest in these ideas. So we need to provide a product between brackets حتى الناس تقدر تشتري. So it's not only about food, it's about ideas, it's about plans. وهذا this is what we have. هذا اللي كنا عم نخسره على مدى سنين. اليوث كانوا عم we used to export our youth. لا نحن we need our youth and we would export their ideas. هون الفرق.
That's the hope, right? That's the hope moving into 2021. But you know, it's and I think Elia was mentioning this. It's hard not to try to control the brain drain when the situation just keeps getting more and more difficult. Any closing remarks? Jihad, let's start with you. In closing, and I want to come visit that Goutblanc. I don't know if any of the attendees want to come with me. I'd love to follow up on this, especially in 2021.
She wants to eat at Goutblanc.
I don't want to eat. I want to leave with a little, with my little pack of goodies.
You are welcome. Okay, at the end, we will keep walking. We'll be going always on the positive way. So I'm very positive. And I will be always like that. I hope that all young people will be able to do something, to add something to this sector and to the country, of course.
Elia?
Thank you once again. What I'm going to say in the end is that we cannot wait for the problems to finish, to start doing something. This is why we should do it right now. And Domaine de Taanayel is part of a bigger group, which is Arc-en-Ciel, that is divided into several programs, and we have programs in agriculture and environment that really can link the idea makers with the investor, and we can work a lot on it, and we are open. And I just want to say for students visits, and we had in 2018 10,013 visitors, student visitors. From the 190,000 visitors, and they had guided visits. And even in 2020, we had 65 university students doing their training here. And I think there's a lot of potential when I see all these young people and what they can do. And really, we are learning a lot from them. So good luck, and hopefully we'll be having a better future.
Well, that's nice to hear. Doctor, any last words? Closing.
Youmna, thank you for this really smooth session. Thank you for all of Berytech's team. Suha, you've done wonderfully as usual. Rami, everyone. And be sure, guys, that we stick together. Okay, so when the goings get tough, the tough get going.
The conversation, I just want to add, should keep going. I hope that all three of you will always be available when young entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, or even students, reach out for questions if they want to tap into the industry and the sector. I would love to play a role in connecting and meeting all you three, even if COVID is still going to take over, hopefully with masks and shields and everything that we have, especially maybe in the coming months as we go into the summer and move into 2021. This was a session from the Agritech learning series. It was titled The Animal Production in the Agri-Food Sector. And our speakers were Dr. Rodrigue, Balaa, Jihad Daher, and Elia Ghorra. Thank you so much. And thank you to our attendees for this. Thank you to Suha. Thank you to Berytech for organizing that. Just a reminder that next week at the same time on Tuesday at 12:30, we'll be talking about the crop production and access to finance in the agri-food sector. So all three of you should join in still. As part of the audience, maybe.
We sure will.
Keep the talk going. I'm Youmna Naufal, thanking you all for attending. Let's keep this conversation, and have a good day. Happy lockdown, and stay safe. And hello to the cows, Elia, who are busy doing their thing. All right.
Thank you. It seems you don't want to visit us. You were saying all the
I said I want to visit all 3. I want to make sure that you follow up with your words. You know what I'm saying?
You were very, very specific that you want to go to Jihad and get your goodie bag.
No.
She didn't
Are you offering me a goodie bag? It's all about maslaha. Do you want me to lie here? No.
Okay. Send us your address. Delivery.
I will. ما في إلا delivery هلا anyway. If you total lockdown. No, I would like to visit all 3, and I would actually. I'll go further and tell you that if those takes place, I'd love to film and see how this experience goes. And I'd love for Soha, if any of the attendees would like to join 5 or 6 or 7, I would love to organize this trip and make it happen. So thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
We do leave now, eh? C'est bon? Okay, thank you.